What if I told you the two worlds that seem opposite, the Vatican and Silicon Valley, have more in common than you might think? One represents ancient spirituality, the other, technology that wants to reinvent human existence itself. But what happens when spirit and code meet? Why does Elon Musk talk so much about downloading consciousness to chips? And why, at the same time, does the Vatican hold secret congresses on the soul, artificial intelligence, and ethics of the spirit? What do they know about you, about your alma, about what makes you be you, and not just a programmable body? Today, we are going to cross dangerous terrain where faith, science, and power touch, and maybe they come together for a reason that no one has dared to reveal it until now. For a long time, words like transhumanism, they looked like something from a science fiction movie. Cloud-connected brains, mind-controlled machines, humans fused with algorithms. But the future, as always, arrived without asking permission. Today, companies like Neuralink, by Elon Musk, they no longer talk about theories, talk about real brain implants, tested, implemented, working. A promise? Restore motor functions, treat neurological disorders, and on the horizon, improve the human being. But what exactly does improve mean? This is where we start to slide into dangerous territory. Behind the scenes, the ultimate goal is not just health and mind control, expansion of memory, fusion between the biological and the digital. And then comes one of Elon Musk's most disturbing phrases: we want to, one day, transfer consciousness. But what is consciousness? Is it just the brain? A set of memories and thoughts that can be stored as files on a hard drive? Or is there something beyond? Something that don't let yourself be copied, nor translate into binary language? Something that escapes sensors and resistors. But what makes you feel, doubt, dream, love? It is this dimension that science, with all its sophistication, still avoids facing it head-on. Because if consciousness is something more than a set of information, so it's not enough to reproduce it technically, you need to understand it spiritually. And it is precisely there that transhumanism approaches and clashes with spirituality. While one seeks to control, the other seeks to understand. While one wants to replace, the other wants reveal. The body has already been mapped. The mind is being decoded, one synapse at a time. But there is still something that escapes, which no exam detects, which no software deciphers. Something that pulses, but it has no form. They call this soul, essence, divine spark, presence, breath. Names change, but the feeling that there is something more, something that doesn't fit into formulas, crosses all cultures and all times. Science, with all its precision, has not yet managed to capture being. It can study chemical reactions, map brain patterns, identify emotions. But who feels? Who is behind the experience of existing? This is why the spirit, or call it what you want, became the last frontier of control. And not because the elite don't want to touch it, but why don't know how, so what do? They try to convince you that he does not exist, of what soul is just a romantic fantasy, that everything you feel can be explained by electrical impulses and behavioral data. Because if they manage to erase this idea, they can finally replace what makes us unique. They can transform us into improved machines, but disconnected from the origin itself. But here's the truth: no one wants you to remember. It is not a program. You are not a system. You are. And that's enough to scare away any project of domination. If you got this far, write the following sentence in the comments: I am not code. Just so I know you feel like there's something in you that no chip will replicate. When we talk about spirituality and technology, most people imagine two completely opposite worlds. On the one hand, the sacred. On the other, the scientific. But what if they were closer than we ever imagined? In 2020, as the world dealt with a global pandemic, one piece of news went almost unnoticed. The Vatican launched an unprecedented initiative called Rome Call for AI Ethics. Yes, you heard right. The Holy See, known for its ancient tradition, brought together technology giants like Microsoft and IBM to discuss ethics, artificial intelligence, algorithms, and the impact of this on humans. But what leads an institution that talks about souls and salvation to talk about robots and data? Is it curiosity? Desire to modernize speech? Or did the Vatican realize before many that the real battle of the future, it will not be between religions, but between what is natural and what is programmed? And that is the human soul, or the spiritual spark, as you prefer, at the center of this silent conflict. Think about it. If the technological elite seeks to simulate consciousness, and spirituality seeks to preserve the mystery of being, so they are competing for the same territory, not with weapons, but with narratives. And when the Vatican enters this debate, it is not just to observe, it's because knows that the invisible is being threatened. And when the invisible is threatened, the visible also begins to crumble. Elon Musk is not a man of mincing words. In one of his most disturbing interviews, he stated, "We are becoming cyborgs without realizing it." For him, the fusion between man and machine is not a choice, it is a logical consequence, an inevitable path, as if evolution had discovered a digital shortcut. And yet Musk makes a confession that exposes the fragility of this ambition. We don't know what consciousness is. And this is where the contradiction emerges. How can we connect the human to the artificial if we don't even know what a human being really is? We want to upgrade the mind, create identity backups, digitize memories. But we forget that existing is more than remembering. It is feeling, intuiting, doubting, loving, suffering. And that, it doesn't fit on any chip. Musk wants to protect humanity from runaway artificial intelligence. But your solution is precisely create another, a dangerous paradox, where salvation looks too much like the problem. Meanwhile, the Vatican walks in silence. It talks about ethics, about the soul, about spirituality. But he avoids answering clearly. What is the soul? Where does consciousness come from? What are we when no one is looking? In different ways, both, Musk and the Vatican, seem to be aiming at the same point, the invisible, that which cannot be codified or canonized. And in this dispute, they are not fighting for the body. They're fighting for something much more precious, the definition of what it is to be human. Some call this a breakthrough, others inevitable. But maybe we are experiencing something even deeper and silent, a new kind of faith. Not in the heavens, but on the servers. Instead of faith, we have algorithms that decide what we see, think, buy, want. Instead of prayer, we have voice commands for an intelligence that responds without a soul. Instead of soul, we have data, profiles, browsing history. And the most disturbing thing is that all of this is being accepted with the same devotion with which, in the past, they bowed before the altars. Today, the new God is the efficiency. The new miracle is the instant access. Heaven is the digital cloud. And sin is be disconnected. The global elite, driven by invisible companies, governments, and systems, is not just offering technology. She is offering salvation in the form of progress. But salvation from what? And at what cost? Because every religion proposes an exchange. Your freedom in exchange for meaning. His surrender in exchange for protection. Your soul in exchange for belonging. What if this new religion is being implemented not to free, but to replace? Replace your essence for efficiency. Replace your soul for digital identity. Replace your life experience by processable data, because the body already obeys. The mind is already shaped, but the spirit? The spirit still resists. He is subtle, rebel, silently free. He questions, senses, escapes, and everything that is free scares those who need control. This is why the spirit became the biggest obstacle of the new order. Because as long as there's a spark alive inside you, something that it can't be explained, it can't be measured, it can't be bought, you will continue unpredictable. And the system does not tolerate the unpredictable. That's why they try, little by little, reduce the spirit to an illusion. They claim that we are just electrical impulses, chemical reactions, lines of biological code, and that everything we feel can and should be improved, optimized, replaced. But if the soul is just a mistake in biology, so she can be corrected, and that is exactly what is at stake. In this scenario, the soul becomes the last bastion of resistance, the only part of the human being that it still escapes the hands of the elite, of AI, of control networks. It's not about religion anymore. It's not about science anymore. It is about preserve what makes us uncapturable. Not all artificial light illuminates, and not every innovation needs to take us away from the essence. Maybe the problem don't be in technology, but in the use made of it. Because technology alone, it is neither good nor bad. It is an extension of who we are, or what we forgot to be. And if the soul is not enemy of progress, and if she is, in fact, the compass that prevents progress from transforming us into human-looking machines, because while the world rushes to create supercodes, implants, and artificial intelligence, few ask, consciousness goes along with this evolution, or will it be left behind? Maybe we are living a collective and silent choice to have used technology to expand perception, heal, connect more deeply, or bury it under promises of artificial immortality, infinite productivity, and absolute control. The soul, in this context, does not delay the future. She balances the jump. Without it, human beings can even become faster, stronger, more efficient. But perhaps he will lose precisely what makes him unique, poetic, and awakened. At the end of the day, Elon Musk and the Vatican, with all their contrasts, seem to revolve around the same essential question: what makes the human being irreplicable? On the one hand, algorithms try to simulate emotions. On the other, dogmas try to define the spirit. But maybe the answer is in a much simpler and deeper place. It lies in the fact that you feel, you intuit, you dream things you can't explain, you choose, even when logic says otherwise. And that, no machine can code, no system can map, no institution can control it. Why the soul cannot be replaced. It can be ignored, discredited, anesthetized, but never copied. You carry something that the world has been trying to translate for millennia, and that perhaps does not need to be translated. Just remembered, and if you got this far, write the word in the comments, irreplicable, so I will know that you, not just listened to this journey, but she felt her spirit awakened. Perhaps the greatest advance of our era, don't be technological, be spiritual, not the ability to create machines that think, but the courage to remember who feels. Between chips and dogmas, algorithms and prayers, there is something that none of them can capture. Your presence, your internal silence, your conscience alive. Elon Musk seeks to transfer to mind. The Vatican seeks to preserve the soul. But perhaps what they are both trying to achieve, you already carry it inside. And if everything that power wants to control, is it exactly what you most need to protect? So, if this video touched you in any way, subscribe to our channel, because together we are creating a strong community. I'll wait for you in the next video.